Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. Please post your questions in the Q&A after the presentation. Please do not post in chat. The moderator will only be able to get to questions in the Q&A. A recording of this webinar and slides will be posted shortly after the webinar on our community site that you can find at realtime.inc.com. And later in the day, we will also email a copy of the slides and the recording to participants. Briefly about myself, I'm the founder and CEO of MultiFunding. I'm an Inc. columnist writing regularly on business lending issues. I've advised prior administrations on the business credit markets. I have a book out called The Growth Dilemma, and for my EO friends out there, I'm a proud member of EO Philadelphia. Some disclaimers. We are in an unprecedented time in history, and the information available to us is changing rapidly. Please refer to our most current presentation for education. The information provided is based upon our best judgment about what we know at this time. However, key questions remain about how to implement this program. MultiFunding LLC does not accept any liability as it relates to the timeliness or content of the information we are sharing today or may share in the future, and we are under no legal duty to update any such information or recommendations. We encourage you to check in with your attorneys, CPAs, and financial advisors for additional insights. Now that I've made the lawyers happy, we can begin. There are understandably a lot of questions about the PPP program, and Congress is expected, the House is expected to sign the extension today, and the White House is expected to sign it, and it will move into law. If you did not have a PPP approval yet, I encourage you to look for a credit union or community bank that will process an application in your neighborhood in exchange for a credit account and to apply for an approved fintech lender. For those of you who are waiting for EIDL money, while there will be new money allocated in this round of funding, be clear that this is way oversubscribed still, and getting access to this money is still like winning the lottery. Some people have gotten it, some people haven't. Some people have gotten up to $500,000, some people have gotten 2,000 or 3,000. We can determine no logic as to how it's happening. And so, while if you get it, it's great, it is clearly a little bit like winning the lottery. What I really want to talk to you about today is the Main Street Lending Program, which is fairly new. And while initial guidance is out, we expect will become much clearer over the next week or two. This program is allotted for $600 billion of loans. Please be clear, these are loans. These are not forgivable. There are two different lending facilities. One is for new loans and one is for expanded loans, and we'll explain both. You can obtain financing from one, but not both. And if you have more than 10,000 employees or 2.5 billion in 2000 revenue, you are not qualified. Small businesses, including those that participate in the PPP, are also able to seek loans from the MSLP. Minimum loan size is $1 million. This program is designed for companies that were doing well in 2019 and had positive EBITDA. And just to be clear, this program, like PPP in its infancy, is still open for comments, and final details from what they are today could change. I want to take a few minutes to explain the new loan facility, the expanded loan facility, some comparative examples, and then take your questions. New loan facility loans are available for amounts between $1 and $25 million, depending what you qualify for. All of these loans come from U.S. insured depository institutions, U.S. bank holding companies, or U.S. savings and loan holding companies. To be eligible, you must be a for-profit business that is created or organized in the United States or under the laws of the United States, with most of your operations and significant operations in the United States. These are unsecured loans with a 4-year maturity. Amortization of principal is deferred for 1 year, and then they fully amortize over 3 years. There is no balloon payment. The adjustable rate is SOFR, which is the cost of what banks pay to borrow the money, plus 250 to 400 basis points, which is determined by the banks based on your credit risk. And to repeat, the minimum loan size is $1 million. I'll explain to you how the loan amounts are calculated in a minute because it's more visual. These loans are prepaid, can be prepaid without penalty, and there's an origination fee of 1%. So let's take an example and we'll use the first row. This is a company with EBITDA of $500,000. To figure out what they could be qualified for, you multiply that times 4 to get a not exceed amount of $2 million. Then you subtract the existing debt of $500,000 and the potential new money this borrower could get is $1.5 million. Take a similar company in row 4 with the same EBITDA, but this company has $2 million of debt. It would not qualify because if you take the 2 million minus the 2 million, you get 0. Give you one more example. The first row is a company with $1 million with EBITDA. The maximum they could get would not exceed 4 million. But if they have $1 million of existing debt, their potential new money is $3 million. On a very raw scenario, if there was a company with 250,000 of EBITDA and $0 debt, they could borrow $1 million. You have to attest that you will refrain from using the proceeds of the loan to repay other loan balances. That you will refrain from repaying other debt of equal or lower priority, except for mandatory principal payments, unless you have repaid the Main Street loan in full. And you will not seek to cancel or reduce any of your outstanding lines of credit with your MSLP lender or any other lender. You attest that you require financing due to the exigent circumstances caused by COVID-19, that you will use the proceeds of the loan, you will make reasonable efforts to maintain your payroll and retain your employees during the term of the loan, that you meet the EBITDA leverage conditions, and you will agree to certain compensation requirements that I will describe next. For while you have the loan and up to 12 months after the loan is paid in full, you agree not to pay dividends or make any other capital distributions with respect to the common stock of your business. For those who earned in 2019 between $425,000 and $3 million, agree that you cannot earn more than that amount in any year you have had the loan plus 1 year after, and that if there's severance, you cannot earn more than twice your 2019 compensation. For those earning more than $3 million, you can earn that plus, but anything in excess of the $3 million is capped at 50%. So as an example, somebody who earned $6 million would now be capped at $4.5 million. Next is the expanded loan facility, and these loan amounts go from $1 to $150 million. Really what is different is how the formula is calculated, and I'll explain that visually. Plus, these loans are tag-alongs to the existing collateral of the senior lender. So let's take as an example for the bottom one, a company with $2 million of EBITDA. Using this formula, you'd multiply EBITDA times 6 to get a not to exceed amount of $12 million. However, this company has existing debt of $8 million. So you multiply that times 30%, and you get a potential expanded loan facility of $2.4 million. If the same company in row 1 only had $2 million worth of debt, their expanded potential facility would be 30% of that, which is $600,000, which is under the $1 million criteria, and then would not be eligible. And to take just one example here, a company with $4 million of EBITDA and $4 million of existing debt would be eligible to get a $1.2 million expanded loan facility. How do you pick between the new or the expanded? Well, let's take example number 2. If a company with $2 million of EBITDA and $4 million worth of debt would be entitled to a new facility of $4 million or expanded facility of $1.2 million, and depending on how much money they wanted, they would have to decide. Real life example is a company with $1.2 million of EBITDA. They have no debt historically, but have taken an $800,000 PPP. They would be able to apply for a $4 million Main Street lending program. How do you think about all this? Financing strategy in historical times is offense and defense. And today that's true more than ever. You have to think offensively and defensively about what might happen next. These facilities provide you an opportunity to shore up your balance sheet and give yourself some extra cash, which you might need either because things get really tight and difficult, or for opportunistic opportunities as they come up. And MultiFunding, for those who are interested, is offering packages to help borrowers through the MSLP process, and you can contact Megan Burns if you're interested in that. And now that we've wrapped the slides up, I'd love to take any questions. Please remember to put your questions in the Q&A, and the moderator will be happy to read through them.
Thank you, Ami.
Try to make your questions first about the Main Street lending program, and then afterwards, any questions, we'll be happy to try and answer any questions about the PPP or the EIDL in the allotted time.
Can you provide more detail on the distribution rules around the MSLP? What if you have $2 million in cash today? Is that considered a distribution if it's just sitting in the bank account?
It's unclear if you took that money out today and as a common stock distribution, it would likely be to your common shareholders, it would likely be considered a distribution. If you took it out as salary or bonus, and the amount of salary or bonus did not exceed your 2019 salary or bonus, according to the current rules, you should be okay.
Is EBITDA figured on cash or accrual basis?
We believe it will be figured upon however you have historically filed your tax returns.
Can you utilize these funds to purchase a new company or real estate?
So there are no limitations on what, as of right now, what you can use the funds on. So we think you can. Just reminding yourself that if you do that, you should probably think about this as a bridge facility, because this money is going to amortize over 4 years. And in month 13, your payments are going to start hitting.
Do you think we should apply if our main debt is credit card debt?
That really depends on your EBITDA and if you have enough to cover it and what you think you might use with the funds.
For current debt deduction, is all debt included, including PPP, lines of credit? How about LT payables?
All debt is included, PPP, lines of credit, unused lines of credit, and I believe any payables north of 90 days will be included.
We have 4 different EINs that have common ownership. Would it be looked at as one entity?
It's unclear, and it would have to be looked at. It depends if those EINs roll up onto one tax return or they all file separate tax returns, might be a consideration.
If you're an LLP, does that affect distributions?
I'd really have to dig more into your situation before I can answer that clearly.
Ami, we have one more question about EIDL. Do you have any new information on EIDL? Has its funding been supplemented?
The funding is being supplemented in this new legislation. However, it's still way oversubscribed. So now I think it is funded up to $60 billion, and there are $400 billion worth of requests in there. So I think it's going to still be a draw of luck if anyone sees it.
Here we go. Can a portion be used to service existing debt, not pay it off, but service the payment if needed?
I believe you can use the proceeds to make principal payments and interest payments, but nothing over and excess of that.
As long as 6 times EBITDA exceeds current debt, is the calculation simply 30% of existing debt up to 6 times EBITDA?
Yes, with a baseline of $1 million. If your 30% of your debt does not equal $1 million, you're not eligible for the expanded loan program.
If EBITDA is approximately 1.4 million and credit card debt is approximately 120,000, do you recommend we apply to pay off credit cards with high interest rates and have cash on hand for procuring income orders?
You cannot use the money to pay off your debt. However, you could put in a facility for up to $5.5 million based on your numbers, and that facility could really use to these times. You certainly wouldn't put additional charges on your credit cards, and you can use it for opportunistic things as they come up.
Time frame for this to roll out for the MSLP.
We suspect that the Federal Reserve is under a lot of pressure to get it out, so we're hopeful that this program will hit the street early May and money should start rolling out in June.
Will cash flow be taken into consideration when approval for the loans? Meaning if you can't currently cash flow the new debt, might be able to in 1 year?
Cash flow might be taken into consideration in factoring your pricing on the debt, but it shouldn't be taken into consideration in determining your eligibility of the debt. In other words, people with tight cash flow might pay higher for the loans.
Okay, we have a remaining question for PPP. For forgiveness, will we include health benefits in payroll costs as we did when applying for the PPP?
You should.
When will you have your package to assist, and what type of fees related to your assistance for the MSLP?
The package to assist is open now. We're doing it only for 50 companies, and feel free to reach out to us to determine your eligibility, and we'll be happy to discuss it with you.
Okay, we have no open questions at this time.
Going once. Anyone have any other questions? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, folks, we'll be back next Tuesday with another one of these, and hopefully there'll be more guidance then or new information to share. In the meantime, if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to reach out to us. I know these are difficult times out there, and we wish you all Godspeed. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.